So the UK currently sits 1.78 trillion pounds in debt. And we feel as though as Brexit nears, the value of the pound is already falling. It's fallen about 30% already. And that as Brexit is completed, it's going to trigger a recession, which is going to hurt not only us, but the rest of the countries in the EU. And trade being the biggest thing that's going to be affected, as the value of the things that we're looking for are going to be lower. So it's going to be a lot harder to trade with the UK just because their money isn't worth what it used to be. And then the value of the euro is going to go up and down as it reacts to the pound falling. And most of the countries in the EU use the euro anyways. So it's really just the UK that is going to suffer from this specifically, but this affects the rest of the countries based on now everyone has to change over to what money they want to trade with and how they want to receive payments. And then specifically banking, stocks, and travel are all going to face inflation rates. Especially that goes with our property taxes in France. Everything's going to rise because the value of the pound is falling. So it's just going to make it a lot harder for us to get deals done.
So as the ambassador within the UK, French embassy to the UK, I witnessed firsthand. It's my responsibility to see how our citizens are represented in both countries. And some of the common interests I found was that the citizens living or studying abroad could lose everything, such as their healthcare benefits, businesses that they've established in the UK, like for work permits, could get denied or slowed down or tampered in some way. And that's something we, as a country, are very concerned about. And we mentioned before the flow of goods, like importing, exporting, all different sorts of trades would be affected very negatively as a result.
Okay, and is that complete your review of your key considerations towards negotiations? All right, so let's move to Germany then. So bear with me for a second.
Council of Germany. I have my fellow colleagues with me who will introduce themselves.
I'm the President of Germany.
I'm Gunther Ogier. I'm a German politician in charge of human resources and budget.
I'm Wolfgang Strauber, and I'm a lawyer and politician.
Olaf Schultz, and I'm a federal minister of finance here.
So we have 5 key issues that we would like to basically elaborate more on. My colleagues have gone more into greater detail, and I will summarize our proposal after going into great detail. We'll start off with agricultural and food.
So I'm covering agriculture and food. France kind of touched on it earlier with the tariffs, exporting food out through there. One thing to explain first is the common agriculture policy. It's through the EU, and the UK would obviously be leading this if they left the EU. And this basically just sets standards for food production as well as provides income for farmers because of the shape of the farming economy. And we feel that it should be restructured so that because we have had issues in delays with border checking, especially with Brexit, so we feel there should be a way around that, especially because Germany exports around $700 million in meat, $700 million in fruit, and around $700 million in vegetables. And we also provide, as you guys can see on the proposal, about 14% of all food to the UK. So you would want to reform your delays in border checking, and you would also want to lower the potential tariffs on food, exporting food, just because we do provide such a large amount of food to the UK, and it is such a large economic gain for us as well as a gain for the UK too. So we feel that you guys should make those changes to agriculture. process.
So German engineering is something else that we're really trying to focus on. In 2016, German engineering actually sold over 800,000 new cars in the UK and is one of the leading automobile manufacturers in the UK. So after Brexit, there's potential 60% increase on taxes on automobiles coming from Germany. And we'd like to lower these tariffs, being that many UK citizens prefer German engineering over the local UK companies.
And for job losses, it's been estimated that 100,000 German jobs could be affected by a 25% dip in British buying of foreign goods. And this is without other factors putting in us, such as like fall in British investments in Germany. Also, a study showed that Wolfsburg, home to the Volkswagen, and Dingolfing, BMW's largest vehicle production center in Europe, could be severely hit from slumping exports. And also, the United Kingdom was among the top 5 exports destinations for German companies in 2017 and saw over $96 billion worth of goods shipped from Germany, which is Europe's largest economy and exporter.
As for health insurance for the German citizens that live in the UK and the ones that frequently travel over there, I would like to continue the healthcare system that we have throughout Europe. The universal healthcare is a society that all of Europe pays for. It helps minimize the expense and it keeps people from going bankrupt from medical costs. There are people that work in the UK that are German citizens that frequently travel over there. So I do not want my citizens coming to like medical costs in the UK. As for the German-born residents that live and work in the UK, they should be able to permanently live there. They should not have to temporarily relocate when we leave the European Union. There are also about 120,000 UK-born residents that live in Germany, and I would like that to continue vice versa, keep their permanent residence where they are. As for the students that live in Germany, there are the students that are from Germany that study in the UK. There are about 14,000 as of 2017-2018. I would like them to have the same tuition and financial aid as the domestic students in the UK. We have done that in the past. I prefer that to continue. The German students would have to do a student visa now to the UK, which is fine as long as they keep the same tuition and financial aid as the domestic students.
Yeah, so just really for our overall proposal, so going over agriculture and food, since we do contribute 14% of all our food and we actually support 55% of you guys as farmers, we would like you guys to have continued free trade talks with us and not increase tariffs with us. Or if you guys do, I think we're just going to not even bother exporting you guys food at all. So that would take a huge dip in food and agriculture for you guys as well. So for German engineering, we talked to France and saying that we need to help with our German cars because we are exporting. I have a statistic, we export over 57% of exports do go to Britain. And so as you guys were our main help supplier for our cars, we've actually noticed that we've sold 800,000 cars in UK. And so that we are the leading automobile industry in the UK. So we would like that you guys will also lower the tariffs, and many UK citizens actually prefer our German engineering over the UK automobiles and the US automobiles as well. So for job loss, we do understand that since you guys are backing out, we will be losing over 1,000 jobs just due to manufacturing and stuff like that. So we are willing to take that hit as long as you guys already keep existing talks with us and either lower your tariffs and stuff, because we do understand that. We'll bring it back here. We'll have more manufacturing companies in our country as well, and we'll try to expand that way. But since we do mainly export, we're talking to France and try to put more of our German cars go to them as well, because they also part of the goods flow goes through Calais. So yeah, and then for healthcare, we have the EHIC, which is it's the European Health Insurance Card, and then the NHS, which is the National Health Services. We would still like that to apply for our citizens that are in the UK. We don't want to have them to go through the hassle of changing or figuring out what they want to do with their health insurance, or if they have to come back to Germany for a country and have to start all over again. So we'd like you guys to keep that up as well. And residents in UK and Germany will not have to relocate. There's an estimate that 300,000 German-born residents live and work in the UK. And as my colleague DeAndre said, there's 120,000 UK-born residents live and work in Germany. So it's kind of a back and forth here that we don't really want to relocate them, but we want them to stay close to their citizens. We also want our students that are overseas in the UK to finish their college without any increase in tuition or cost of travel expenses and fees. So we would like them to have the same access to all the airports and stuff, and not have to pay more money for the planes going in and out. And that's it.
Okay, thank you, Germany, and we'll move to Ireland. Just bear with me for a second. Sorry, keep fast. Okay.
Hi, I'm Shane Ross. I'm the Minister for Transport, Tourism and Sport in Ireland, and my fellow colleagues are going to introduce themselves.
My name is Leo Radker. I am the Irish Prime Minister.
I'm Adrian O'Neill. I'm the Irish Ambassador to the UK.
I'm Michael Higgins, I'm the President.
I'm Simon Coveney. I'm the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Trade.
All right, so today we're each going to speak about some concerns that really own in on our portion of the government. We're going to start off with the relationship between the UK and Ireland, and our Prime Minister is going to speak on that.
So from 1970 until the late 90s, there was a lot of conflict in Ireland itself, between Northern Ireland, Ireland and the UK. So after a while, it's kind of calmed down now. A lot of people, especially in the States, don't really know that, but it has calmed down. Brexit actually has unified the country a lot more than anyone really would have imagined. People who are in Ireland are starting to realize how, for centuries now, really, we've lived under the thumb of the British, kind of. And this whole Brexit movement, we're kind of wanting to have our own independence in a way. Because right now, the British government is set up to be more imperialistic. Obviously, the UK had a great empire for hundreds of years, but it's really not that anymore. So we're going to try to take advantage of that as best we can and make sure our citizens are put first. And we're also the only border, we're the only nation that shares a physical border with the UK. So obviously that's going to be one of our biggest issues. We want to make sure that the border control and everything, because if you guys are going to leave the EU, we want to make sure our citizens can still be safe living near the border.
So as my colleague was just saying, one of our biggest issues is having to do with the only existing land border between the UK and the EU. And as we know, it runs right through Ireland. Now in the past, there have been infrastructure on that border, and the biggest issue with that is that that zone is practically a military zone. The country just feels divided, and the people don't feel unified. And as we said, right now, Ireland especially feels very unified. We're in a very, very strong place, and the established border will do nothing but just infuriate the people of Ireland. Many journalists have been quoted in saying that the people may even go as far as to literally blow up the infrastructure if they will turn violence because of this. And here I have a quote. It says, "You cannot imagine that people would take that without civil disobedience at the very minimum." So yeah, the border, not only would it just not work out for many reasons, but the border line runs through many houses and several other properties. So this would be a much greater issue for us than maybe imaginable, because obviously the UK has their own interests, but in a time where Ireland is so unified, this could just tear us apart once again. We've already dealt with a civil war once.
So you recently mentioned how even if you do leave no deal, that you want policies and the relationship to stay the same. So I'm a little confused as to why exactly you would be leaving, if you want everything to stay the same. I think it's a selfish move on your part to do so. As Jimmy has mentioned, there's been East European Ireland and Northern Ireland for many years. That could change if you make a hard border. In Ireland and the other countries that will remain in the EU will import tariffs, we'll still have that strong relationship. So you're hurting us in the beginning, but in the long run, you guys are also hurting yourselves. And the culture could be affected if that border were to go back up. You got families living on either side, you could ruin that culture. You would also ruin the culture that we have with you guys in the relationship that we built with you over the past few years.
So as far as Germany was concerned, previously mentioned, they're a huge car exporter, but a huge contribution to our economy in Ireland is tourism. We're currently making about 5.6 billion euros in revenue annually, and we have 10.6 million visitors to Ireland every year. However, since Brexit has come about in the last couple of years, we're seeing a 9% decrease on the annual of UK visitors, and that's just going to continue to really deplete our economy, especially from a tourism concern. We also have hundreds of thousands of flights yearly going to and from the UK and Ireland. And the second Brexit occurs and we have a no-deal Brexit, we're going to have to start treating the UK as if they were any other country that's not part of the EU. And as a result, we are going to have to start enforcing more border checks and immigration laws. Currently, we have the Common Area Agreement between the two countries, which allows anyone that's a UK or Irish citizen to travel without a passport. They just need a form of ID. But with the UK withdrawing from the EU, we're going to have to severely reconsider this agreement and restructure it because we no longer have that trust with the UK as they're no longer an EU member and have that backing, which just means we're going to have to, again, enforce border checks and higher security measures, which will come as a cost to our country, but that's a cost we're willing to make if that ensures our tourism industry stays profitable for us.
So finally, just to touch on trade, we're ranked in the top 25 in the world for countries to do business with. For exports, we bring in about $219.7 billion per year. The top countries that we're usually working with are the USA, United Kingdom, and Belgium. And the top export for us is pharmaceutical, which would definitely be an issue when it comes to medicines. For imports, we're looking at $98.13 billion worth of goods. And once again, one of the top countries we're working with is the United Kingdom, USA, but Germany this time. And having you guys leave would cause an 11.8% loss on exports and 22.5% on imports, which just comes out to like a very large sum of money at the end of the day for both countries to be losing with us bringing in and losing it.
That it for Ireland, okay. We're going to move to the Netherlands. You have something else? Okay. No? All right.
Hello everyone, I'm Rob Hosker and I'm the Minister of Finance for the Netherlands.
My name is Steph Block, Minister of Foreign Affairs.
I'm Sigrid Cobb, Minister of Foreign Trade in the Netherlands.
I'm Mayhem Snell, State Secretary of Finance.
And I'm Mark Burton, Prime Minister of the Netherlands.
So just a recap of last week, we were talking about the Rotterdam. It's one of the biggest harbors in Europe. Also, the Netherlands, we have our workforce is highly educated and multilingual, which is almost 90% of the Dutch speak 2 languages here. And so for tariffs, we apply EU tariffs, which are based on the international harmonized systems of product classification. Duty rates on manufactured goods from the United States generally range from 5 to 8% and are usually based on the CIF values of the goods at the port of entry. The CIF value is the price of the goods plus packing costs, insurance, and freight charges to the port of entry. And most raw materials enter duty-free or at low rates. So the HS classification number consists of a minimum of 8 digits, which this helps if you're trying to track a package at the harbor. The integrated tariff of the community, which is also known as the tariff, shows the various rules and regulations that apply to specific products imported into the customs territory of the EU. So the tariff can be used to determine if a license is required for a product. And the tariff can be searched by the country, the origin of the country, the HS code, or the product description. And we usually generate 429.5 billion goods every year.
So moving on, if this Brexit were to take place, the UK would lose out on 4 out of their top 10 trading partners, so obviously it's not good right there. And how this would affect everyone. For Britain, it would reduce their income per capita to about 4 to 9%. This causes inflation and lower wages, and other words, it just means economic recession. And then for the Netherlands, 1.2% GDP drop, so that would project us losing $10 billion over the next decade for the Dutch economy. So it's a lose-lose economic-wise. And then also, it's very important for the environment because if the UK were to leave, there's no legal framework, no legal leverage on any sort of trading with like electricity interconnectors, and then it would make a negative impact for climate change because you guys could pretty much just do whatever you want for that. We're trying to make the change. So.
Okay, so as the Secretary of Finance, one of my biggest worries is trade. So through Rotterdam, our biggest port, 440 million tons of goods have been shipped to Britain every year. A worry that we have with that is trucks are going to arrive to Rotterdam needing to get to Britain without permits. They won't be able to export to the EU. Also, people living in UK with income from the Netherlands will lose the right to tax credits and certain deductible items with the loss of trade. And also, hundreds of companies have already relocated to Amsterdam specifically because they're worried about losing access to the European market. And businesses include finance, IT, media, advertising, life science, and health businesses.
I would like to touch on the relationship between the Netherlands and the UK, as we have a strong relationship with political and economic partnerships. We have the British consulate in London, and as you guys have the embassy in Netherlands. I want to propose to the UK, if you guys sign a no-deal Brexit, that we will put the Rotterdam shutdown into effect immediately, as we cut off all trade exports, because most of your exports between machinery and vehicles is up to $120 million, which is about 25% of all your major exports. So if we shut that off, you guys will be in serious financial trouble in the future.
A bit of a recap or summary is that the Netherlands and the UK have been friends for a long time. We share many passions and principles. In political negotiations, our government wants to remain as close as possible to British allies. That's good for trade, security, and our strategic positions, preserving the influence of the European rules and regulations in global affairs. It's tricky because at the same time, we cannot and will not allow a country that leaves the EU to end up with a better deal than those that are staying.
Okay, is that it for the Netherlands? All right, so I'm going to turn to the UK now with any clarifying questions that they have based on the presentations that have been given here, and what the UK proposes in response. hand it over to you.
Okay. Thank you everybody for being here today. I'm Boris Johnson, the UK Prime Minister, and I'll let my colleagues introduce themselves.
I'm Tim Barrow, I'm a representative of the EU.
I'm Elizabeth Trust, I'm the Secretary of State for International Trade.
I'm Gerald Lyons, I'm the Chief Financial Advisor in the UK.
I'm David Frost, I'm the Policy Advisor to Boris Johnson and Chief Negotiator.
Okay, so I just want to start out saying that first and foremost, we're looking to keep a healthy, positive relationship with every single country here. We want to keep open trade talks and whatnot. So just starting off, we have a few questions for some countries. Specifically Netherlands. So I just want you to clarify. So you were saying something about Rotterdam and shutting down all exports. Is this true? So you want to shut off all the exports to the UK? Okay.
There's a lot of future like some downside on our side if you guys shut down. I mean, if you guys don't sign the deal.
Okay. So I guess moving into, we'll just start off with trade. First and foremost, if you look at the handout that we gave out, these are all the industries that we have, that we want to protect in the UK, specifically when it comes to the automobiles and machinery such as computers. Those are the ones where the tariffs, we either intend to raise or keep the same as at EU level. Talking more about trade, I can give it a lead.
So as the Secretary of State for International Trade, obviously trade is our biggest concern right now. So we want to protect our major exports. So right now, our top countries that we export with are the United States, Germany, and the Netherlands, and France. So our top exports are cars, so that's 45 billion pounds. So it's extremely important for us. Pharmaceuticals, 18.4 billion. Petroleum and gas are also mainly some of our exports. So we want to make sure we protect those and make sure we're also making our money.
I was just referring to Germany. I understand that you guys provide most of our food, which means that you guys make the most money from your products in our country. So with that being said, I think our main goal is to maintain the same relationship we've been having for the previous years, and we're willing to keep the same trade agreements that we currently have for most of our goods imported, especially the food and stuff, except for cars. I think we want to raise the tariffs a little bit higher. It's our best interest at the moment. But yeah, with the agriculture and food and stuff, we want to keep the same trade agreements that we've been having for the last few years.
So I guess going into the logistics of trade, we can talk about the transition of the flow of goods, how they're going to get there, where they're going to come from.
So a lot of our trade comes from Dover in the UK, and we like to keep the transition, as you said, similar. We like to keep the ports open for trade, specifically Calais, one of our big major import and export, Rotterdam especially, in the Netherlands, and Germany too with Hamburg. Those are areas that we like to continue trade, and of course Ireland. Dublin is one, is a specific place that we continue trade, want to continue trade going forward.
I guess in specifics with trade as it applies to the Netherlands, you guys saying that you just want to cut off all exports, that's definitely something that we do not want to do. I don't think that's going to benefit you, it's not going to benefit anybody. So I guess we would just want to, specifically with the Netherlands, talk about keeping exports and imports, keep going into Rotterdam. I guess next we can move into the citizens abroad. Talk about that.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you for everyone to come out tonight, today. So the first policy that you guys talked about, actually in our first negotiation, was the 60-day delay, that rollover period. We would like to say that we would like to make a new document after that 60-day policy. Citizens do not actually have Germany
They have the EHIC and the NHS. We'd like to make a new policy after a 1 to 2 year. We would like to make healthcare for everyone. That way we can roll it over and everyone will be like citizens towards, or their healthcare goes towards their citizenship wherever they are, so they don't get screwed over. To touch upon what Germany said, they said they wanted to raise or keep tuition the same. I don't think that's up to us. I think that's up to the institutions and universities. As I know, they would probably raise it probably 1 to 2% every year. So that's something we can't really do. To keep going, for everyone, we don't want anyone to get vacated out of their homes. We want to keep morale high and keep residents, so that we touch upon the healthcare. We don't want anyone to move back home, so that's why we want to implement this 1 to 2 year policy. And then after that 1 to 2 year, keep an act going or create a new policy. That's about it. And then the border in Ireland, we want to keep also morale high there for you guys. We don't want to move any borders or create any borders. We want to keep soft borders there.
Specifically in Ireland, we are going to respect the Good Friday Agreement that you guys have. We don't want a hard border imposed. We want free movement between Northern Irelanders and people who live in Ireland. The border, having a hard border wouldn't benefit anybody there. A lot of people who live in Ireland and work in Northern Ireland. So we intend to keep that a soft border and respect your guys' agreement.
So, just to interject super quick, how against are you guys proposing a vote amongst Northern Ireland to see if they would ever want to be unified again with Ireland? I just think, as much as like Northern Ireland is part of the UK, at the end of the day, they're genuinely part of Ireland as a country, and unifying the two countries again, like they were in the early 1900s, could solve a lot of issues and conflicts amongst the UK and Ireland moving forward.
So there are rules and regulations that would go against that. There would be tariffs would have to go up, and that would implement everyone not being unified. So we wouldn't want small businesses raising to 5% on small goods and raising export and import. So that is something we can talk about, but we want to keep the soft borders. That way we don't have to raise as much to a 10%. We would want to keep it to anywhere from a 2 to 5% increase in tariffs.
So I guess just to summarize where we stand with trade, we generally want to stay away from the World Trade Organization agreements on trade. Those don't benefit anybody at the table. We do, however, as Kevin or my colleague was saying, raise automobile tariffs to benefit the UK automobile companies, along with the other top industries that we export. As far as shipping goes, we would like to keep the current shipping ports open that we're already using. The citizens abroad that we are talking about, we don't want to displace anybody. That just wouldn't be good for any citizens. And then, of course, the borders, we want to obviously require passports instead of just like the EU card that we previously used. However, in Northern Ireland and Ireland, if you're a citizen of one of the countries, you can just, move freely between the borders.
Boris Johnson, another question on the raising tariffs for the machines and computers and cars. Do you have specifics on how much you plan on raising those tariffs by, or is it like how much percent?
I think it wouldn't be given to give us a number. I think it would be.
It wouldn't be too high, but due to the fact that we're probably, you guys, we have the biggest industries right now in cars, like the UK and Germany, it would be around probably like between 2 to 5%. So it's not going to be that much big of an increase, but it's something that we can benefit from.
Yeah, it's kind of forcing our hand here as our main exports to you guys is your top two. Trail project projected, exports worth to machinery and vehicles. And I feel though that we had a good relationship with you guys with previous, with us selling as many cars as we had in your economy. So I'm just curious as to why that seems to be raising. We might have to also raise our food tariffs on you guys, or cut them off entirely if we can't continue to sell our vehicles, because that's just our number one way that we're making money here.
So, yeah, I guess to address the automobile tariff first, that's obviously to help out the UK's industry. It has been struggling lately, and we want to get it back in moving. As far as the agriculture goes, although we do rely on you heavily for that, you also benefit a lot from the agricultural trade. So I think just completely cutting it off, I mean, that would hurt us equally as much as it would hurt you. So I don't think that would be a very good idea.
I mean, we export about 57% of all our exports. 30% of all food to the EU is exported from Germany. So it's not only you guys that we're exporting foods, we're exporting to other countries. So I mean, seeing as that if you're raising stuff on our vehicles, it's going to be hard for us to continue exporting agricultural for you guys. Just saying that we can maybe figure out a way we can meet in the middle here and find a compromise at least of maybe not as high as 5% tariffs, maybe like 2.5% or.
And just to go off that as well, a lot of manufacturing in Germany that takes place. A lot of it is shipping cars out to you guys to manufacture your cars. So we basically have control on what parts get shipped out to you guys for your. I know you guys manufacture cars like Germany does as well. So a lot of we have a good amount of control over what cars get shipped to the UK and exported to them for their car manufacturing. So in terms of raising the tariffs, I wouldn't really benefit you guys, and it wouldn't really benefit us because we do have control over what parts get shipped to you guys in terms for manufacturing for your automobiles as well. That's all.
Okay. As far as what you offered, 2.5% increase, we would be willing to do a 3% increase.
Question regarding citizens abroad. So we estimate that around 52% of the British people that live in France are there to work. And by withdrawing from the EU, they lose their residency status. Without a residency status, they fall under the regular immigration laws that apply to anyone who comes in illegally. So not only will that be hurting your people, that also hurts our employers, as we'll be losing employees and money. So do you have a contingency plan or residency plan in place?
Yeah, so what we talked about earlier, I believe, was a 1 to 2 year kind of, I guess, leeway time to apply for like any applications needed. You want to talk more about that?
So what we went over was exactly the 1 to 2 year policy, where anyone who's living in countries as in Netherlands, Germany, France, they are able to stay and get the proper paperwork. So they're already there. They're most likely going to get integrated with the other citizens that are there. This is more so for the new citizens that are trying to get visas for new work visas and stuff like that. That would be in the long term plan for new immigrants coming in. So probably everyone who's already
I think that's a good policy to implement. I'm kind of on board with that. I just want to bring up an ethical issue real quick with the UK. The government, during the whole process of you guys leaving, hired a company called Cambridge Analytics, and pretty much what they were responsible for was going on Facebook and pretty much gathering data on who was like for Brexit, who was against it as your citizens, like who was on the fence. And pretty much what you guys had them do was target the people of the UK that were on the fence with the deal or no deal. And it was kind of propaganda in a way. You guys like persuaded them that you guys wanted to back out of the EU. So for you guys to like throw propaganda on your own people and like try to persuade them to back out so that you guys could be on your own, I find like a problem. I feel like you should let people make decisions for themselves. So when it comes to like negotiating deals with us and like fellow other countries, I think it would be in like your best interest to kind of go the way that we want to go. You guys wanted to leave, so if you guys want to remain and like keep good relationships with us while you guys are on your own, I would just like recommend that you probably want to be on our side with our deals.
Does anybody have any questions?
Any other questions or clarifications?
Yeah, we have a clarification. So you said you wanted to follow the Good Friday Agreement, and in that agreement, pull up the right page here. It basically says that you guys are going to control Northern Ireland until Northern Ireland has a vote saying that they want to be part of Ireland. As we kind of talked before, Ireland already is fairly like united now. So I think we should put that to vote because, yeah, you guys want to not have strong borders, but logistically that won't really work because now, like we talked about on the first day of the negotiation, it's not just a border between one country and one other country now, it's a border between one country and 27 countries. To not have a border between, like a set border that's like guarded, so many different points, it goes through towns, it goes through neighborhoods, it's going to be difficult to secure that. So I think we need to really figure out that border. Just not having a border there won't be good enough. Because like we have, the relationship between the two countries usually is fairly decent. Census in 2001 found that just under 900,000 Irish people live in the UK. So obviously there's a lot of back and forth between the border. But we need to nail something down more secure than just having an open border between two countries.
Yeah, so adding to that, more specifically, what he's talking about is called the principle of consent. And recently, Northern Ireland, they did a mock vote just to get an idea as to what people would think about, challenging the principle of consent. And 55.8% of the Northern Ireland citizens voted to stay in the EU. So at this point, we're proposing to allow Northern Ireland to have their own vote and decide whether or not they want to stay in the EU.
Okay, so as far as starting, I guess, the way you were talking about, I'm a little confused as to if you want a hard border or not, because I mean the Good Friday Agreement, from what I understand, is in favor of a soft border. So if you just clarify a little bit.
I think we just need to, whether it be like outside of towns, like the actual border, we just need to, it needs to be more clear as to where it's going to be because it can't just be, can't really be going through towns.
Question. So you're just insinuating that you want the whole Ireland to be unified and you want to move the border to the coast? Is that what you're saying?
So I believe that's something that falls under Northern Ireland to vote for. As far as right now, I mean, I don't see the problem in just going, I guess, a business as usual approach with Ireland and Northern Ireland. There's just going back and forth together. I don't think just because we're not a part of the EU anymore, anything will really change that much as far as like travel between Ireland and Northern Ireland goes.
Similar to what France mentioned, it's your guys' choice to leave, and we do respect that choice, but choices have consequences, and I think one of the biggest consequences of this choice is that we do have to reestablish these borders. And unfortunately, right now, there's no clear cookie-cutter answer to what that may be, but I think there needs to be a further talk about how we proceed. I think business as usual works for now, but once we come to a no deal Brexit as a definite endpoint, we will no longer be able to do business as usual, and I think we'll really have to lock down some more standards with the UK.
I want to go back to the trade here. In France, the Port of Calais, a lot of English goods come through this port. So as like we negotiated with Germany last class, in order to like benefit like everyone else that's still in the EU, like that's like our main concern right now. We want to focus on like keeping a good relationship with like the people we're the closest with as of right now. So for the goods that like we're importing from you guys and like exporting to the other countries, like that's why like we want to like lower or like raise the tariff on you guys like exporting it to us. That way like the like euro will still like stay strong, like we'll be making money for ourselves. And with Germany on their side here, 14% of like all their like the UK's food like comes from them. So if you guys like are gonna like want to like keep that, I mean that's like a large sum of food for you guys. So I feel like raising that on you guys and then like lowering their tariff for exports to you guys would probably be the best beneficial thing to keep all that stuff going through.
So I actually have a question about that. So what in particular would you propose raising tariffs on?
Most of the goods that we import from you guys, I mean, like, I guess, like, whatever you guys are, like, exporting to the other countries, not so much, like, just us, because it's just a lot of your goods, like, come through us and go out anyway. Like, so, like, it'll come through, like, that channel, and, like, that's, like, where, like, we'll, like, charge, like, tariffs on, and then it goes through that channel to the other countries. So I guess just, like, goods in general, like, it doesn't have to be, like, anything, like, crazy. But to like lower tariffs, like you guys have like brought up before, I just don't think like that's probably like the best plan. Like I understand like you guys like have to like keep like a strong economy and like get money from that, but for the rest of us, like I think we would prefer lower tariffs on your goods coming in. So that like, I mean, I think that would just give everyone the best relationship with you guys.
So do you have any, I guess, particular like percentages in mind?
That I do not know.
Okay, do you have any other outstanding issues or proposals that we need to voice, because we're going to have to wrap up today. And we'll be moving into day 3 of the negotiation, which I expect, based on what we've heard today, the UK should come back with some definitive numbers in terms of what specific tariffs you perceive. I think what you're hearing is that if you propose to raise tariffs on your goods, and there is going to be a backlash on that. So if you're going to raise your automobile tariff to Germany, then they may be raising food tariffs. So I think you want to think about the balance of those and how that's going to affect the overall flow of goods and the economic situation of the UK. So on our next day of negotiation, each country should come with your target points for your tariffs, and also more definitive ideas in terms of how, for instance, with Ireland, I think you have a special case there with the border. So and we've talked about some ideas here today, but I think we have to have more of a definitive roadmap in terms of how you're going to handle that going forward. If you can business as usual, for how long, and then what would be the plan going forward on that. And then in addition, I think there was some resolution in terms of, proposed resolution in terms of how the citizens would be handled in these various countries, so I would put forth that and make sure that that much will be possibly commonly agreed to across all nations and potentially spread out to the other 27 countries in the EU. So I would make that part of the definitive proposal for the last day of negotiation. And besides that, I think we should be able to get to some form of resolution so that we can move forward. So I want to thank everybody for your input today. I'm sure you're going to have a